Some question.
Well, in your intro, you said that this was a long career. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So, Michael and I started working on this thing. You okay? Michael and I started working on this, I guess like 8 or 9 years ago. We were both actors on a TV pilot and how to go forward. And then we sort of started hanging out together, and the scene you saw of them doing the game of chicken, heading out to Sacramento was basically real because we were like joking around like that. We didn't get upset. We're smarter than the characters in the movie. And it's a good, when we ended up making the show during the writing process, I mean, just like, and educational, because the state capital is a beautiful place. And yeah, so when we had a script that was like, okay, this is like this is coming together, this is fun, and there's some stakes here. We opened it up to some people, we got some feedback, we had some money at some point, and the money went away, and then we had a Michael Cera window, and then the Michael Cera window went away, and you know, it was a little hard for it all to kind of come together, and it was about a 3-year process where we were like close, but not quite there, and then eventually all came together the last script.
And was it always Sacramento? At any time were you thinking of changing the city?
Yeah, that's a good question. We did actually, but I think there were some incentives for us to shoot in Georgia, so we were going to just stand out for like a half a day. I mean, we kind of laugh about that because we don't know anything about Georgia, but you know, the money would have forced us to kind of figure that out. Really, well, then we were going to fake Sacramento, but then we were just like, let's hold out. Let's find our window and let's stick to Sacramento. But, you know, it was one of those things like when you're in LA, all of the signs leading north all say Sacramento on them. And so, you know, it was sort of like this thing that always stuck in our minds that was this, it's not a destination unknown, but it was like a metaphor for the future, for, you know, a journey and also this thing that's like always kind of present. And it sort of made sense for the transitioning from like young guys, young idiots into like, oh, okay, parenthood, here we go. And so it kind of always worked for us in that way.
And you can tell by the credits that this project was a total family affair. I know.
Yeah.
Michael, this is the movie that Michael had Maya.
Yeah.
You know, how important was it for you to have your friends and family involved in stuff?
So incredibly important. The story behind Mike and Maya was that she was the first one to join in on the films. We had sent the script to her manager, who gave it to her, and Mike. She was like, I'm sure I'd love to meet Mike, and her and Mike went on a meeting. And I asked him how the meeting went, and he was like, it was really good actually. I was like, okay. What do you need? And he's like, well, we're going out again. And yeah, they have their second kid on the way. So Leon is the kid with the Rubik's Cube at the end of the film, that's their child. It's incredible. So, you know, this really like had this, you know, when that happened, when Mike and Maya got together, at first I was like, oh fuck, I think we're God. Like, what the hell's gonna happen? What's gonna happen in the movie? Like, I love Maya, she's like unbelievable, like she's such a great actor. And I was like, man, it's gonna suck. And here we are, letting them stay together, and you know, when you, I don't know, not to get too like woo-woo about it, but like you create something and then it kind of takes on a life of its own. And you know, when Mike and Maya got together, and you know, the movie kind of took on a life of its own. It's just cool to be a part of it.
I'd like to kick it out to the audience if you have a question just earlier.
Softballs, guys, come on.
How much did the script change from the first movie draft to like the final edit?
Great question. The script, and then we heard that, the script, how much did the script change from the first edit to the final? A lot. So Mike and I went through a lot of different versions. We had a lot of, you know, tone was a little tough to find for us at first. And when we found it, and, you know, we knew what we wanted, we kind of kicked it into gear. When Maya came along, she brought in new ideas. When Mike Sarah came along, he really brought in a lot of new ideas as well, and he pushed us to kind of really create, you know, that sort of third act sequence where he kind of has his flip out. He brought a lot to that, and so yeah, it changed quite a bit. And even on the set, you know, the actors, we had such a great cast, and they all brought great ideas. So, you know, my thing was just like I said, like, stay out of the way. It kind of has its own energy, and just to kind of step out was my goal. So.
Was, you're gonna cut my girl, was that in progress?
That was scripted, actually. That was we thought it'd be funny. He, you know, he's trying so hard to make it light of it, but, you know, be there for her and show her that he's gonna be able to joke and be chill in those scenarios. So that was in there. You know, kind of important for her to realize, like, okay, maybe he's figuring something out, and I can trust a little bit more. So yeah, that was really good. So.
It's great, huh? You're right there, we start.
Yeah, along those lines, were any scenes in particular ad-lib?
Yeah, good question. The question is, were any scenes ad-libs? You know, there were bits here and there that were ad-libs. You know what, I wouldn't say it was ad-libs, but one thing Maya was very, like, alert and aware and concerned about the character that she was playing and how she would let this guy in her life again. And we sort of talked about that a lot, and she created this woman that was totally hers, which, like, I love about me, which is that when she set the ground rules and she says, no sex, and they wink, and then, are you being serious? And she goes, yes, and winks again. She will lean in and will whisper when she's like, if you ever leave us again, like, that line, we didn't know how it was going to go, but the whisper makes it so, you feel that she's not going to joke around here. That this is the line. This is it. We get one chance. And she came up with that. That was on the day. And I'm just so grateful she did it. She was got an incredible performance. That she added that to it.
Right in the front?
Yeah, I was wondering if this material is personal to you, or like why you decided to write about the dad type.
Yeah, very personal to me. So, like I said, we started writing it. It was the material personal to me, and the dad anxiety in particular is the question. And yeah, look, when we started, my wife and I were like thinking about having kids, so that was very much in the air. All of our friends and family were having kids. Mike was also, you know, he had met Mike a couple years later, but, you know, approaching that idea and wrapping your head around it and getting a sense for what that could do to your life was something, yeah, we talked about and we seriously considered. The panic attack was something that I saw a personal friend of mine kind of go through. It didn't happen to me personally, but I saw somebody go through it. And yeah, it is very personal. You know, it's you know, I've seen it with a lot of my friends, this sort of transition into, you know, having to grow up, having to be an adult or somebody, having to keep it together. It comes up a lot, and you know, I feel for all the parents out there and that kind of anxiety. Were you gonna ask something?
Very close to that, but you know, like nowadays, it seems like when you guys started writing this 8 years ago, nowadays it seems like it is more of a thing than our parents' generation of people having kids later. Is that a big part of this? Was like the 40-year-old dad kind of thing?
Right. So having kids later, the 40-year-old dad effect is sort of a newer thing. So, you know, how much does that play into it? I think so. Yeah. I mean, I think the past generations, perhaps, I don't know, I can't speak to their experience, but there was a little bit more of like, it's not really a choice, you just kind of have kids. I know that, I guess, when, you know, talking to parents and aunts and uncles and stuff like that, I think my generation, like, I guess, millennial, or older millennial, or whatever, my generation was very much like a conscious choice, right? It doesn't have to be one way or another. It's not sort of like predestined, that you just go off and have a family. So it is definitely like a generational film. I hope it kind of speaks to a little bit of that kind of conscious choice between having kids and not having kids. What that does to you. Yeah, that was definitely part of our process.
Makes you feel very good now, Jack.
It feels good. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Probably time for 2 or 3 more questions. You and the dark shirt right there.
Yeah, I thought the soundtrack and score was fantastic. Not only like fitting the story, but also just the setting and the tone.
Yeah.
So I was wondering if you could just maybe speak to the overall music process, but also if any of that was sort of that inspired or sparked during your writing process.
That's a great question. He's asking about the music and that, how that came about and if that inspired sort of the writing. The music was, I will say, I wish I had more to do with the music. Mike and our, our group of, music, I forget what it's called, the music, thank you. They were all over it. I will say this though, I love all the tracks too, and the Ron Wood song that happens at the gas station, Mike had that like at the very beginning of the movie. Us working on the movie, he was like, I want this song, I want building around this song, this moment. And that moment like grew from what it was originally, but he had this song kind of in him, he wanted it there. I don't know, really what's the word about it. It is an expensive song. And we didn't have a lot of money for it. And Mike, like our finance guy said, we can't start with the song. And Steve Braun, our finance guy, Steve Braun, we love it. We have it. It's like, thank you. But anyway, he was like, we're out of money, we can't do it. Mike goes, okay, fine. He reached out somehow, somebody to get, I guess, Keith Richards and Ron Wood to watch the clip of the song. They gave us a discount on the song because they liked the movie so much. So it's like, holy cow, we have to put that out and start kissing him. It's incredible. So that's the truth about that. We're so happy that it's something that for us.
You lady in the back of your hand.
Great, thanks. Can you talk a little bit about the parenting anxiety? You didn't really touch on being a child with parents, seems to be dynamic that was moving throughout the movie, father relationship.
Right.
With each of the characters. Can you talk a little bit about that and then broadly about mental health issues? This seems to be pretty prominent in the pieces coming throughout the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that question. That's I think you guys all read that. It's about parenting, looking out, right? The older generation, and all the characters having that connection. Yeah, I think that, like I was saying, I think before about the sort of generational divide, right? About expectations. What are the expectations that our generation has about being parents? And I think they're pretty high. I think there are high expectations for parents. I look at my friends with kids and I'm like, I'm sometimes in awe of how much they think about it and what goes into parenting. My dad's a great guy. My dad's awesome, but he will freely admit, they would, and when I was, I don't know, 6th grade up, they would open the door and they'd come home for dinner, and that was, sort of what I did as a kid. So the expectations, I'm not saying they were lower, it was just sort of a different relationship, I think, between the older generation and my generation. So, I think that's something that those guys really struggle with as well. Maybe not having, and they also have a strained relationship with their parents, with their dads. And so I think that adds a little bit of pressure where it's like, okay, I have to make up this playbook myself. I'm not sure how to do that. And so I think that was kind of key for us to find these two guys with that same simple problem. Your other question was about mental health. And I think you know, these are two guys who I think Mike, or rather the Ricky character, enjoys mental health as sort of, I don't know, using strike as cosplay. It's like, he likes the idea of talking about mental health and about his mental health. I mean, you saw him in the opening scene at the convalescent home, and, you know, he's sort of playing therapist, right? And I think that there's, you know, a blind spot there, despite their being able to use the language. There's maybe not a full kind of meaningful understanding of what it means to sort of, I don't know, work on yourself or be a friend to yourself, to take care of yourself, etc. So I think these are bold guys who could use some time with one-on-one therapy sessions and they're avoiding it for one reason or another. So yeah, we kind of needed that blind spot for them, so we can have the full movie where we totally communicating with each other, sort of just using those terms in that scene by after the scene at the lake, after the ashes, strong scene kind of thing. But yeah, I guess, I don't know if that answers your question, but, it was definitely, we needed them to have that blind spot, I guess, it's like, you know, it's big.
Great, that's all.
Great.
We have that.